Hi. Well, this is Ways of the Heart, a Way of the Hearts. We're going to have some questions and answers. This so that we can stimulate some spontaneous activity, because the one thing that is the most important thing probably of unconditional love and how to decipher it is its spontaneity. Love is always spontaneous. So this gives us a chance to see ourselves in action, so to speak, responding spontaneously at the moment. And so a few people will be asking questions, and a few people will be answering questions. And here we are all together on this Way of the Heart.
My name's Don. Wayne, how does your work relate to the practices of Tai Chi and yoga?
Well, you know, the first thing is it feels a lot more like play than work. And I think in lightness is the way it relates the most. There's not the discipline. There's a minimal amount of discipline, which means activating your breathing or your movement. You know, what I say is breathe in, contract, relax, and breathe out, and then move your body. So you're using your body and your emotional conformation, which you have inside of your body. You're not following a pattern. The pattern is made by your own spirit or your own energy inside of your body. So I think the thing that it has in common, other than they're coming from the same place, the source of all of us, is lightness.
Hi, Wayne. My name is Janine. I'm curious as to what need in your life led you to discover that breathing and movement were means to empowerment.
Yeah, feeling. This need to feel all that I had inside of me. And dying, because obviously breathing out has to do with dying. And this is probably the most important part of it, is the dying. You know, they talk about it all the time, the self has to die, or the ego has to die, or you have to die. And so the breathing out part is probably the most essential, because that's the letting go part. That's where the little tenacious being inside that thinks that it has to be good for daddy and mommy or for the other people lets go. And you can become yourself. Actually, the discovery of the techniques and things came after I had let go. They weren't part of the process. They were observations I made in kind of this happy state, in understanding how the things work, so then I could sort of explain them or show them.
Thank you.
I sometimes wonder about why I'm insisting on being angry, or where this mean side of my character might come from when I think of myself generally as being a good guy or nice. Do you think that in the course of your play and in doing exercises and so on, that some of these characteristics might be alleviated, that I might find myself being happier?
Sure. And the whole thing is eating that stuff. You know, is taking the anger, owning it, and then using it up inside of us. You see, like Janine asked me before, this wasn't really the way I got to where I am. I got to where I am by dying, and then I was observing these things. This is a way for you to use what you call anger, which I call dedication, trying to really pull it off and seeing how things are unjust. I mean, everybody goes through this. From the first day they're here, things aren't working the right way. I'm giving everything I've got, and things aren't giving me. This is a good, wholesome, self-identity kind of crisis in manifesting itself in a very kind of uncaring or unsympathetic world, because it's a biochemical reaction as far as the things that you run into in your life. So the anger, I think, is an essential building block or a crossing stone of the pathway, and to enjoy it, to get into it and say, I really am angry. Not because you'll hurt anything, but because you'll transform that energy, and you'll be really happy that you said it or you did it, and it becomes joy. This is what I know as unconditional love, is that every emotion is love. And so if somebody's feeling angry, I enjoy it because it's their strength and it's their love inside, and I can give it back to them as the love because I know what it is. And then they think some magical thing has happened because their anger's been transformed. Well, it just went back to what it really is. It was their quest for love, we could call it. But of course, it only comes from within ourselves, when we accept ourselves exactly the way we are, whether we're angry or not. Let me say one more thing about anger. Because everybody has chromosomes, and we all have got these systems, and they're set up with different hormones. Some people are Pacific, you know, not because they live in California, but because they're just peaceful people. And they won't eat meat because they just don't like it. And some people love meat and they love bacon stuff because it's in them. That's the way they are. And they have to accept that. Illumination doesn't mean that somebody changes completely. Somebody changes completely when they weren't at all what they were inside before, and they become their true self. If someone's already their true self, they don't change at all. The only thing that changes is the weight and the responsibility they feel about being who they are. A guy who's hot, intelligent, creative, you know, a lot like you, moves when he's in a line of traffic. He tries to go around it. He doesn't sit there. And some other people can sit there for hours and nothing happens. When you're illuminated, you'll still move. And when you're done, you go, wow, did you see how I really moved through that traffic because I was so impatient? Before you're illuminated, you say, gee, I wish I wouldn't get angry. Gee, I shouldn't do that. This is the only difference, is just accepting it. And it's all your power and your strength, and we're glad that you've got that, because that's going to make you be creative and actually manifest the stuff that you're here to manifest.
Wayne, you obviously believe in balance. Is the way to the heart another path for understanding that love given out is returned to you? And a lesson in the way to the heart is that you shouldn't end up attaching negativity to another person's inability to love.
Sure. This is a very sweet and suffering thought. It comes from a lot of pain, a lot of kind of being misused or not being appreciated, which is the state of every human being. We all go through that. The key to this, the answer to this, is that you live that love in that moment that you're giving it. It's not a later thing. Nothing's happening later. When you're loving or you're giving, your body is receiving that. Your organisms, your liver, and everything is working and functioning in peace. When you're angry, you're suffering at that moment. And it all happens now. There's no after. So the non-attachment, which means not looking to the future or not looking to what I'm going to get out of this, frees you to enjoy the moment. This is what's important about non-attachment, because you can live now. If you're attached or you're looking for a return, you can't live now, and you don't live. And you can die saying, what happened to my life? That's the key to the whole thing. But you can't, they're never going to be able to give you back. And the secret is being able to receive. And so when you know you spontaneously are receiving it when you're giving it, it's all done. You're satisfied. And this is why you don't need anybody, but you need everybody, because you love everybody. And so everybody that you meet, you receive from and you give to, but because you know how to receive.
One of the things I'm especially interested in is spiritualism, and a lot of the teachers that I've worked with, I have a sense of, or they have a sense too, of the spirit guides around them. It could be beings that we've known in this life, could be relatives and so on, or others. And I wonder how that relates to you, if you have a sense of spirit guides around you.
Sure. This is a great question. We even started to do this one a little bit before. See, what the big problem of being on the earth is that we're lonely. There's nobody here, it seems like. We're surrounded by things, but there's no intimacy. There's no real tight, nice relationship like it's supposed to be. Somebody that understands me. Someone that responds to my problems. Our spirit guides do that. We focus, because there's only, actually we'll just talk about profound things, I guess. There's only one energy, really. And this energy concentrates itself in different spaces. And when a concentration of energy feels like it exists and is separate from another one, it believes that it's an entity and it has a relationship with other stuff. Because we get so lost and lonely here, we relate to aspects of ourselves as our intimate friends. These are spirit guides. It's us. Even though they are other people or other energies or whatever we want to call them, it's really still only us, because there's only one of us here. And this one of us is everything, and we're a part of that everything. Or everything is a part of us, whichever way you want to look at it from that point of view. So, but this is a point, you know, it was in 1975 when I wanted to only be unconditional love, because I knew that everything else was just a byproduct. I didn't want to have to call up, hello, Armedius, or whatever my spirit guide is. Look, I got a decision I got to make. Can we get down to this? I said, that's ridiculous. I should be that spirit in this body that just does the stuff, Armedius or whatever the name is. And so I know I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm doing this. And they say, no, I don't really know why. I just feel that I'm to do this. That's the spirit running my life. And this is what everybody is, but they don't believe it. And they know it, but they don't believe it. This is really funny, right? Because they know that they know everything, but they don't believe it anymore because it doesn't seem to work here. So they've lost faith in what they already know they are. You see, we're invulnerable. We're omnipotent, but we're also impotent and really vulnerable, because we're human beings. We're both of those things. And combining those things is the problem. Understanding that we're both of these things. So we keep ourselves company either with Janine or with my brother or my mother or my daughter or my son or whatever. We're keeping ourselves company in the same thing that spirit guides do. It's that deeper part of yourself that is keeping you company and loving you, because sometimes we with our minds aren't capable of loving ourselves like we should be loved.
So, Wayne, if we are the sailing ship and we're supposed to keep our ego in the dinghy that's being towed behind in an effort to be open and not manipulative or any of the harsh things that our egos make us, is that the key?
No, see, this is the problem. We think that if we do anything, because if we do anything in this world, in this dimension, we're touching thousands or millions of things. So we're being manipulative. If we can't be manipulative, we can't exist here. We will not allow ourselves to be here, because we can't hurt anything. So we can't even breathe. We really should be like the Jains, you know, with the cloth over our mouths, because little microbes get in there. That's the problem. We think that it's bad to be, so we don't allow ourselves to be. All of my work is completely focused on the opposite point, that you have to be in order to do something. You have to be here to say, thy will be done. Because otherwise you say, thy will be done, and God says, with what? There's nobody here. It's just this mass of wanting to please everybody. And so manipulate means free people from prisons. I'm manipulating. I have to have courage and strength and power to do those things. I have to manipulate, because I'm being manipulated and I'm always manipulating here. That's the way the world is. If we think that we're being eaten or being used, or that we're eating something, and we can't do that. I can't eat. Somebody says, I don't eat animals. And I say, but you eat 350 little plants that never even saw the sun when you eat your soybean sprouts at lunch. I'm not sure that that's better, because those are plants that never got to live. I know that it's terrible. We're assassins just by being here. We have to kill stuff to live. When we breathe, we're killing stuff. That's us, though. It's not something else. It's all part of us. So I eat myself to live, and I give myself to the other parts of myself. This is how it works. And this is releases from that fear of hurting, because a loving person like yourself, Janine, the last thing on earth that we want to do is hurt somebody. And so this leads you to complete inaction if you follow that to the end. If you follow that thought to the end. So you have to feed yourself. This is why the exercises are important, because it's a way to feed yourself. Get your strength, and then your perceptions are clear about the decisions to make, because you can say anything to anybody if you're full of love, because they'll accept everything, because all they want from love is spontaneity. But our fear of hurting them doesn't allow us to say the things that would catalyze all the reactions to bring people to happiness. The first thing, of course, is that somebody's happy. And when you're happy, you can facilitate that. I guess that's all the time. We have time for one more quick one, maybe, Don.
Wayne, what does the idea of freedom mean to you?
Yeah, that's a fun one, isn't it? That was 1973. I figured it out. I said, wow, this freedom stuff, that's just a state of mind, thinking that you can choose what you want to be attached to, because you have to be attached. There's a lot of people into non-attachment. They say, well, I don't do that because I'm not attached. I'm not attached. I said, very simply, you're attached to non-attachment. That's the way it is. So freedom is the act or the state of mind thinking that you're capable of choosing what you're going to do or what you're going to be attached to. So if you're always spontaneous, you're always free. Is that it? We can end on that. If you're always spontaneous, you're always free. Remember, the most important thing to do is breathe, and then you can be spontaneous. Otherwise, you can't even be spontaneous. Thank you very much, Way of the Heart.